Yeah, my name is Fred Lincoln, and I'm from the Wando, Hugie area, a little spot called Jack Promise. Born and raised there. This is the settlement of my ancestors, and it's adjacent to the plantation where they were enslaved. And after slavery, they bought 300 acres of land adjacent to the plantation. And they bought the land, but they still had to work on the plantation to make a living. They were free in a sense, but then they were still economically enslaved and bonded with the plantation. Those 300 acres of land that they purchased at the end of slavery, I still dwell on those property. All 300 acres are still intact. We are surrounded by development, and so the effort to maintain those historical property is at hand now, and it's going to take dedication and genius on our part to maintain those properties, and I'm a part of that struggle. We have secured our enslaved graveyard that's on the plantation. We fought and got the deed and title to that property because we don't feel like our ancestors should have been enslaved while they lived, and now they still own, the ground was owned by someone else. We felt like we need to take ownership, and we have ownership of that grave site. And the community has embraced it, and now people come from all over to visit it. And at this moment, we're in the process of having it registered on the National Historical Registry, and that's coming into a final stage at this time. As far as the community is concerned, our biggest obstacle is to try and maintain the property. And only in all the community, when black folk lose their property, it's usually because someone flashed money or they're taxed out of their property. So we engage with the county to make sure that the taxes are in line with all other communities, and that we're not placed in a position where we have to sell our property because we can't pay the taxes. So we work diligently, and we work with the seniors to make sure that their taxes increase. We go down and challenge it. And a lot of time we get it reduced, and sometimes we get 50% reduction because they sent out these taxes believing that no one's going to pay attention to it. And if you're not organized, then you wouldn't realize it. And seniors not realizing that because they were subjugated all their lives, they don't believe that they could fight the powers to be. So we have to be there as a unit for them. And in keeping with that, we have to continually educate our community on what's at stake and how we need to be organized and how we need to be informed and how we need to show the world that we respect the property that our ancestors left us, and that there can't be a price tag on value on those property. Those are spiritual property, and you don't sell your mother, and but we treat those land as our mother. We try to
give a little bit of information about how long you've been traveling to Africa, what countries you've been traveling to, and what you're doing there, what kind of projects you've been involved in.
Yeah. Well, in 2009, I took a journey to Ghana, in West Africa, and I always wanted to go to Ghana because I'm a student of Kwame Nkrumah, and the first president on the continent, and Ghana was the first to be liberated from the colonialists, and was proud of that effort and always wanted to go visit that country. And I was able to take a journey with 17 African Americans and traveled the country and went to the dungeon, what they call the castle, where they used to quarter the enslaved Africans before they shipped them over on a ship to America. And it was an emotional time when we went there, and everybody, when they got in that dungeon, started crying. And we could feel the spirit of our ancestors there. And from that moment, all I could think about is trying to get over there every year. And for some of my friends, to get over there permanent. And doing that journey, we visited some orphanage. And at one orphanage, we became attached to a young girl over there, because I have one son, I never had a daughter. At the time when coming up, I didn't want a daughter, I just wanted a son, that's it. And when I went over there, as the years go by, I wanted a daughter. And over there, I went to an orphanage, and this young lady was fixated on, maybe my imagination, but she was looking at me the whole time we were on stage. We brought goods for them, school supplies for them, and I said to my wife, I said, that's going to be my daughter. And when I was finished on stage, I went and asked her, how would you like to be my daughter? And she said, I would love it. And on the way out, we saw a girl crying, and when we went over to find out why she was crying because we were taking her sister. So I said, okay, we'll take her too.
All right.
And as we were leaving, they said, wait a minute, they got a brother too. So we're taking that also. So we got all three here. And at this juncture, one of them has finished college. We have the other one as a junior in college. We have one as a senior in high school, a student. And the best decision I've ever made. Everybody thought I was crazy bringing 3 kids, but that was the greatest decision I've ever made. And I'm so can't wait to get home sometime in the afternoon to greet them. And so we have worked also in other areas of Africa. We are doing the Ebola crisis in Liberia. I was able to galvanize our community, and we, just in our small community alone, collected over 55,000 pounds of rice, a whole container, and we went over to Liberia to deliver the rice, food supplies, medicine, school supplies to Liberia. And we were there to actually go to the small villages and place the rice in their hands, and to see the joy on their faces, because at that time, during the Ebola crisis, all the hospitals were closed, all the supermarkets were closed, and neighbors were afraid to go talk to neighbors. It was an awful time, and we were able to bring some joy to those folks over there. So whenever I venture to Ghana, I usually take a trip to Liberia also.
And those are some of the initiatives, and you talked about Ghana and Liberia. Okay, so tell us a little bit about I think you're gonna give a little report about Hurricane Dorian relief initiatives. Just give us a little bit of information about that.
We saw the devastation through the news media, what was going on in the Bahamas, and it was very touching. And we felt like we had to do something from our community, because from people, from experience, we have seen in a lot of countries, when devastation takes place, they don't see a black hand handing out goods to them. We may send money to the Red Cross and all that, but we thought it was just like when we went to Liberia and we actually put rice in people's hands. It made a difference. They see it coming from us, and they need to see our faces. So we got together and got a lot of food supplies, school supplies, and medicine for the people of the Bahamas. And we were able to get a container load of food and medical supply to ship over there. It took a giant effort we were able to put groups together to work as a unit to get that accomplished. And I was proud of that moment because we were able to get a lot of black groups together.
Yeah, that's really good.
As a unit to send those supplies over there.
And
it was sent over there, and so we realized that those are the things we have to do. We can't wait on other people to help our people.
Right. So those kind of projects you'll be doing ongoing as things happen around the diaspora, the African diaspora. But I had what message do you have for black people in the diaspora regarding involvement in Africa, getting involved? What do you want to tell? What kind of message do you want to share about that? You've been doing it for years. I've been on a couple of those trips myself, where we were taking school supplies and stuff, and you all were galvanizing that kind of thing. So what kind of message do you have for those whose heads are not really into it, the traveling, and what kind of thoughts would you like to share about that?
Yeah, in our visiting the continent, for us it's reconnecting. It seems like there's a piece of that chain that's missing, and our life will not be on solid ground if I never went back to Africa. And I see for young people in the future, there's so much there for them. The history is there, the connection with the people is there, but there's economic advantage in the future for these young African American coming up. And Africa is at the beginning stage of development. America is basically a spoken for. It's pretty difficult. But if we could get on the ground floor over there, we would be in a position to benefit from the rise of Africa. Not only just connecting to them socially, but we would be connected spiritually, economically. And we need to have all a joint venture dealing with all those aspects. And for Africa development, they need capital. And I think we are in a position to assist in that. If we could look ahead and not wait until the trains start moving, but we are the ones who are going to get the trains going. And we'll benefit from it because we'll be on the ground floor establishing business and a relationship with the continent. And as African people, we cannot negate Africa. Africa have to be involved in the equation if we're going to go forward. We're stagnated in America, and I think Africa would be that channel where we can move forward as a people rather than as individuals.
Sounds great to me. Thank you.